So here's the thing. I am all in favor of starting to record more often. But it really comes down to Brian and his ability to do that. I can record every day if we wanted to. Doesn't bother me.
Well, actually, we can replace Brian with Adobe AI. Like, honestly.
There's enough of my sampled voice out there, probably. Yeah, it could do that.
Okay, for whatever episode number this is, the very next... So our first episode of year 11 needs to be an AI version of the show. Can we figure this out?
Yeah, BryGuy AI and his Super Friends.
That is the cold open. At the very least, I'm just morbidly curious what this would sound like for like all of us.
But I mean, like, even if we have AI edit it, Brian's still going to re-listen to it and edit it again himself.
No, we also have the AI edit. Brian has no input anymore.
we just
turn over
AI
all the
Brian.
passwords to the robots.
Real Brian just is no longer a part of it. He just listens.
They'll check that fucking email address, I'll tell you what.
We've been telling you this for 3 years. Not our fault you missed it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of BryGuy His Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is the pirate building a sweet dreege, Andy Stoles.
What's up, podcast people?
His milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, Mr. Movie Slut, Josh Zorch.
Damn straight. And this is already a leap forward from how our intro went on the very first episode long ago.
His podcast baptism came at the hands of Ian, Mike Bradley.
Can Bry AI redo this intro and make me sound way more badass and not have to like tie me to Ian in some way? That would be great.
Oh,
You are
read the other
forever
ones.
linked. Forever linked. And for old time's sake, I'm only going to say this once. Girl cock. And it's all for Ian Leidig.
Check out my podcast, Grok That Cock, on kick.com/doublethrust, where each week I have a new guest on to watch that guy kick horse cock. Sucker punch rules. Hail, Zach.
You fit a lot into that intro, I feel like.
Thank you. I did like 8 references.
I'm genuinely now worried that the podcast is over after this because you actually said that, Brian.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, it's done. We're done. See ya.
You
Good night.
threw the
10
Hail
years.
Mary.
We'll see you in another 10 years. We're done.
Oh,
We'll just do reunion
we've
shows
topped.
from now on.
Yep.
Brian, how does that mouth feel? On that
Who
girl
are you
cock.
talking to? Oh. I gotta wash my own mouth out with soap by the time we're done.
He didn't say taste, he said feel.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. I threw him a bone. It's been 10 years. I'll give him one.
And we're adding aftertaste just
Yeah.
for the hell of it.
All right, so hello, listeners, guests, everybody. Long time no talk. We are here to commemorate, I guess, what we would consider a milestone, and it's one that Josh specifically has reminded me about a few times because, honestly, just, the way the days, weeks, months go over the last few years, I have completely lost track of this milestone and did not realize it has been fucking 10 years since we started this freaking thing. So it was March of 2015 when Josh and I sat down to do the pilot episode for this very podcast. And I don't know, I've feel like I probably talked about it on other episodes just randomly, but like I don't know, I guess like the inception of the podcast has always been like, and Mike even brought it up even before we started recording, but it was kind of like the inception of, hey, me and my friends talk about all this geeky shit we're into. I have listened to other podcasts where people do the same thing and was like, I can do that. So let's just find some people to talk about some cool shit with and record it and put it out there and see if anybody wants to listen. And 10 years later, we're still, at least occasionally now doing that. So, for anyone that's listened even for that long, or anybody that came later, for even these guys for staying out for that long, again, thank you everybody for, keeping us going for what still doesn't feel like 10 years, but at the same time, holy shit, It's been 10 years. So I don't know. With this sort of anniversary episode, I was trying to figure out like what we could do for this. And it occurred to me that it's been so long since we probably recorded, obviously since we recorded the first episode, but some of you may have come in later to start listening to us after that first episode had kind of disappeared from feeds. It's just, they only keep, I don't know, 100, 150. I don't know how deep the feed goes anymore for certain platforms and stuff. But back in the day, I don't know if you could even stream podcasts. I know like iPods and like iTunes were the way to get it. So you would download it to your device and you'd have it. So for anyone that didn't actually delete those after they're done listening to them, maybe even Josh, I feel like this is how you did it. You probably still have it. Do you have that first episode still on an iPod of some kind or listening device?
The whole episode itself, I don't have it saved anywhere. I am so backwards old school because like I never got into using a lot of popular streaming apps like iHeartRadio or Spotify, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I would I've never even had, personally, never had an iPhone nor an Apple computer, but I do use iTunes, the program. I still do this weekly with other stuff I listen to. I download the new episodes of what I'm subscribed to, and then from my computer hard drive, I plug in my phone, my Android, to my computer, and transfer those physical files to the phone, because that is the only place I ever listen to them, is like in the car or running or something. I am ancient like that. So I don't have the like files like archived somewhere, but I do still have every single one of my tracks.
Okay.
I never deleted those.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, for anyone that, I thought it might be fun to sort of commemorate the 10 years by just re-releasing that first episode. So it is out on the feed, just, I don't know, more or less like a surprise drop. Some of you are probably like, why the fuck is this here? Well, it's been 10 years. So, we put it out there. That was something that we recorded again, March of 2015. The hot news at the time was the third and I believe final trailer for the Avengers Age of Ultron. Back when we used to cover trailers on this show. We talked about, at the time, recently released Power Rangers fan film, which is still fucking out there if you want to see it. I did link that YouTube video in the description for the podcast when I updated it. So if you're curious what video we talked about, search it on YouTube or just follow the link. And at the time, there was an announcement or rumor, I think, that Neil Blomkamp was going to do an Alien movie, which has actually not ever happened. It just died. So yeah, you can go back and listen to that time capsule of an episode that, what Josh and I were talking about at the time. And for me, going back and listening to that thing, it is cringeworthy. I think it is terrible. I hate everything about it. I think it sounds like shit. I feel like I'm not natural and it just feels really icky to me. So it was even just trying to find little things just to try to remember what the hell we talked about. It was difficult for me to get through. But now that it's out there, and I even tried to share it with you guys just in case you wanted to listen to it, see what you thought. Did any of you go back and listen? And if you did, what did you think of that episode?
I did, and I have thoughts, but I'm biased since I was a part of it. So I want to hear what these three guys have to think of it. I want to hear what they think of it first.
So my biggest issue was Brian starts off the episode with a 8-minute monologue. He doesn't even have 5 minutes of material. He just keeps going. And on day one, can't pronounce names. Never learned how.
That I didn't know what I was doing then. I'd still argue I don't know what I'm doing now, but I feel like it at least flows a little bit better now.
And yeah, the audio quality was shocking. I was like, what the fuck were you guys doing? Like using fucking... Like the fucking wax filaments on like the fucking cans that would scroll around. Like fucking Edison shit, like wax cylinders. Like what the fuck?
Look, we've come a long way in 10 years with our phonograms. You just...
Like I was
you
14 years old when that came out. It is wild times.
Right?
Mike, did you go back and listen or no?
I did. I'll echo what Ian said. The audio quality, obviously, we have improved upon through the years, but that's learning. We've all gotten older and able to afford better audio equipment through the years.
Yeah.
The content in it, Yeah, I mean, you guys rambled on a bit about the Age of Ultron trailer. It was all right, though. It was good rambling. You guys consistently fucking doomed Quicksilver to death by saying, like, boy, he was absent in that part. Where was, it was all of them, but the Quicksilver wasn't there. Where was
We're normally
he at?
wrong about everything. We actually hit
that's
a good
the thing.
one. We didn't predict him to die, but we indirectly
You
we
guys
were right.
never once even considered his death. You guys were just like, boy, he's not there. And it's like, well, they were this close. They were this close to like starting it off with a major prediction. They noticed an absence, but didn't do much with it.
I mean, honestly, it's
However-
par for the course for any other trailers we've talked about over the years, too. I think all of them have just been speculation about nothing that turns out to be nothing, which is
That's
probably
fair.
why we don't do this shit anymore.
No, but that's fun. It's that's the entertaining stuff.
We did a
Just bullshit
2
about
fucking
things. It's
hour
great.
podcast on 27 seconds of Star Wars footage.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So it was enjoyable to go back and listen. I'm kind of sad the old intro song's gone. I'd like to see that make a comeback. The old Castlevania thing. I dig it. I like the one we have now. We've had for a long time. I like it, but
So,
that one.
yeah, so- Inside Baseball for the intro music and stuff, what I used to use. So I am really terrified even using that one of like copyright strikes and stuff because it's licensed music. It's someone's remix of licensed music, but it's still licensed music. So even in that first episode, I am trying to plug the shit out of wherever I got that. So if someone comes back and says like, you pirated this thing, I'm like, I'm trying to give credit where credit is due. And eventually, like after using it for so long, I got really scared after getting closer to, I think, 100 episodes that I was like, this could get me in trouble. And I'm kind of afraid about it. So then I just made my own in GarageBand on a Mac. And that's our intro music, is just a bunch of sounds
Right.
and music cues that I put together on GarageBand.
Were you worried you were
I
going to
had
get a letter
2
from
versions of
Metallica?
that. What's that?
Were you worried you're getting a letter from Metallica?
Either, yeah, Metallica decided to sue, yeah.
I mean,
But there were 2 versions of an intro music that I did. And the one we kept and used, the second one,
It's the funny one.
yeah, I thought it was good until I think I played it for Andy one time, and he laughed the entire way listening to it. And I was like,
I
no,
did.
this is not the reaction I want for
You don't
intro
want people to
music,
have a
so
good
that's gonna
time
get scrapped.
right before the episode
I don't know.
starts.
I don't even remember why it was funny, but I was just like,
I don't
this
think
is
I went
great.
back and listened to that clip, but I don't think we know why you thought it was funny. You just couldn't stop laughing.
This is the clown music. I know what clown music is.
I did make a note about the music, Brian. Yeah, and I forgot. It's been so many years and so many episodes.
Yep.
I forgot that the music was ever different. And I just wrote down that original intro music slapped and got me dancing.
Oh yeah, I love that song, and that remix
And-
really gets me. I love it, but
so,
yeah,
so there
I got
is
worried
ways
about it.
around it. When I was using like copyright music on stream, I actually just emailed the bands. I was using like Power Glove, Vomitron, Bit Brigade, like all their music on stream just as background music, and I had consent from the bands to do it because they're real nice guys. You just send them an email and they're like, yeah, sure, cool.
I'm even curious. I have not gone back to look, and like the website that I used to get that, I don't even know if it still exists.
I was actually going to ask about that. So I'll be interested to see because like 10 years, is it still there?
I know it was overclocked. I don't remember if it's overclock.com or overclocked. I might have the wrong thing. I'm trying to look it up now. Overclock.com does not look like the right thing, so I don't know if it's a different
.org.
web address. .org?
Yeah.
So maybe it's still out there.
OCRemix.org website still exists, yeah.
Okay. So
And-
it does still, it's still there.
And yes, did someone upload a remix today? Yeah, of course.
Was it you?
It is not. It's not anything about buttholes or cocks, so no.
I thought DJ Googly was making a comeback. That
Don't
whole
call-
arc that
don't
people
use my
need to go back
government
and
name.
listen for.
So who knows? That could be something. Yeah, if I actually can research and figure out where that original remix is, then yeah, I could try to reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, you mind if I read your thing for a podcast?" Because I already did, but just to let me know. So we could maybe bring it back. But
You're asking for permission after. That's the idea. Don't ask for
I mean, I
permission,
won't
ask
lead
for
with that.
forgiveness,
But yeah,
right?
Andy, you didn't go back and listen, right? You didn't get a chance to.
I did actually.
Okay.
I listened right before we got on.
Any thoughts of how archaic and weird it was?
It was a little weird, but I think you guys were both so excited to do it that it was just you forgot you were on like a recorded thing sometimes. And before you knew it, you're like, oh wait, we gotta get back onto like the subject. I thought it was enjoyable.
Okay.
It's like watching
Um,
puppies at playtime.
Yeah. I went back and actually watched that stupid Power Rangers fan film because I couldn't remember what that was like. It's not as good as I remember, but it's still pretty good. I don't know if anybody else actually went back and
watch it.
Yeah, I'll put it. Yeah, I can put it in this episode too, or if I remember to finally log into Facebook and put it up there, but post it somewhere for if anyone's curious. Because it's I don't know, some of the fight scenes I think in it didn't hold up for me. When I watched it again, I was like, wow, this looks really cheesy now. But at the time, I was like, this is fucking adult and awesome, and I love it. But
Yeah, you definitely did. You said it was like Transformers movie quality. I remember those exact words. Do you still feel that way after watching it?
Some of the CG, I mean, it's shaky cam shit during that battle. So it's still, I'm not crazy about that. But the shaky cam shots you get of the Zords fighting and stuff, I thought looked pretty cool for mid-2000s for being a fan film. Yes, I think CG quality was pretty good.
So you still feel that it holds up to the Michael Bay
I think
film?
the CG holds up for that. Yes.
I'd have to look at them side by side.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it again yet, but I've watched it since then a small handful of times, and I think we were just so taken with it just looked so different, and it was the idea of taking material that was it was like going from Batman 66 with Adam West to The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. You know, it was like just this leap from what we had known and the reference point into the presentation. So, you know, maybe there was a bit of bias in a way of just seeing something so different that, you know, it felt so much more grand to us at the time. But you know what? I don't know. I'd still defend it.
I think even just seeing like Vanderbeek in there, you're like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, all right. So that was sort of like where we started, I guess. So over the last 10 years, again, we've been doing the show for that long. I've had rotating guests. We've done a variety of topics, reoccurring segments. I still feel like I've had, you know, the sort of a constant goal to try to sustain quality, hopefully improve the show over time. And, you know, over that, I think we've mostly settled into the rhythm we kind of have now with everyone that's on the show. I mean, these guys have become my staples, help me fill out the show, that it just wouldn't be as fun if I did it with just me. So again, guys, I've said it before, I will say it again. I want to thank you all for being as part of the show for as long as you have. Even Ian, after putting him in podcast jail for probably a year with all the crazy shit you talked about, but I welcome you back. I'm glad you're here. It's been fun. But I don't know if anyone, I mean, Josh, I think it's easy to remember the first episode you were on, which we've already talked about. Ian, do you remember what your first episode was recording for the show?
I know it was, I guess I guess it was technically I was a Geekologist because it was before 2015. I remember recording for the first time.
Oh, were you on one of those? I don't even remember.
Because I was in college and I graduated in 2015, and the first place I recorded was the place I lived in the year prior to my final year.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Am I remembering this wrong?
I don't remember this at all. So
no, you're right. You're right. It was my last year of college, so it was in the right place. So it was this podcast. I don't remember. That's all I remember. I was on it. It was so fucking normal. You should have that wild-eyed child that didn't know anything about hunkering down with googly eyes or none of that nonsense. He was clean. he was fucking Nickelodeon at night, Nick at Night style comedy. He didn't even have comedy. He was a young man who just got his laughs off when other people's mics didn't work.
Well, you said that was the Geekologist one. You don't remember which?
No, that wasn't that. It was. I think you're right. BryGuy His Super. So that would have been 2015. It was my last year of college when I was at that place. So it would have been between January and I guess May. So that's when I graduated.
Yeah, you were correct. It was April 23rd, 2015.
Yeah. So I was living
And
in
that was when we
are.
talked for that was the 6th episode of the show, where we talked way too long on the Force Awakens trailer. That was where we thought for a good 45 minutes there was some significance to Rey's staff. That was the whole big theory that went nowhere. Yeah, it's amazing looking back on how long we've talked about these fucking trailers, and like, and probably part of the reason, one, I don't talk about them anymore, and two, I don't watch a lot of them anymore, because all the speculation that leads nowhere, either I start hyping up a better version of a movie in my head based on what we speculate in the trailer, or I'm expecting things to happen which ruin surprises in the movie because I've seen it now in a trailer. So all those things have kind of got us away from talking about trailers, at least on the show. Andy, next for you. Do you remember which episode you were on first and when it was?
I do remember being on the Force Awakens episode, but I feel like I was on one before that, but I can't remember.
It must have been a later one, because I think the first one I talked for you was the 15th episode, which was in July of 2015. And that was where we talked about the stuff coming out of San Diego Comic-Con 2015.
Okay.
So it was actually you, and I think it was the first episode for Romano, too. That's the first time I brought both of you guys on.
Okay.
Mike, I know you were a later addition to the podcast. Do you remember which one you were on and when that might be?
When? It was 2016?
It was 2016.
I don't know. Probably September, August?
Close.
July?
October 6th, 2016.
October? Okay.
So
It was episode 68.
Yes, and we talked
so
about
close.
Snoke theories and all that.
I thought I have built it up in my mind that it was episode 69, so I was very
I
disappointed
built it up
to
as
learn that it was
Order
68.
66. Like, I always thought of it as 66 because of Star Wars, and I thought of it that way. But, yeah, I mean, I remember a whole lot because I was just a listener of the show and interacted with you guys on Facebook and, you know, started listening to it because I went to high school with Josh and saw that he was doing something. And it was like, oh, cool, I'll check this out. And you guys asked, well, Brian asked me, not you guys. Brian asked me if I was interested on coming to talk about stuff. And that Josh had kind of given the okay that I wasn't some asshole.
I had vouched for him.
Way to go on being wrong about that one, Josh. Good job. And yeah, you guys brought me in. And, you know, here we are 8.5 years later at this point, and you guys are some of my closest friends. So thank you for that. Bringing me in and giving me a shot to talk with you guys about stuff, because it's something I never had before. I didn't, you know, I mean, I had friends, but they didn't give a shit about the stuff I gave a shit about, so it was like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Different. And yeah, so you brought me in, and you threw me to the wolves with Ian. And little did you know, I was up to the task of that, and Brian wound up feeling exceedingly flustered, I'm sure, by the end of that episode, because when he brought me on, again, Josh didn't know I was an asshole, so it's not on him. He knew the high school me.
I was also not a part of that, so it wasn't like personality-wise there was sort of like a buffering with me to like usher Mike in and introduce him to the group. Like, it was a topic that I had not very much knowledge or interest in.
Yeah.
So
you just vouched for me, and then,
yeah,
you know, Brian's been semi-regretting that ever since. It's okay. It's fine.
I do have a question I've always been curious about. What was the original topic? What was the thing you were actually talking about that devolved into the Hutt consent laws and the Snope theories and all that?
Well, Snoke theories was the episode.
Snoke.
Yeah,
like
it was
that,
all
that
Star
was
Wars
that was the
theories
intent.
that was rolling around the internet at the time.
Yeah.
And we were trying to disprove based on what we thought or what we know of Star Wars lore and whatnot. And I don't remember how that subject got there, but that's, that's the takeaway from that episode.
I'll create a verb for you. We Ian and Mike'd it in there. We like. I feel like
to me
Ian,
that makes complete sense.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is you guys get that now? You guys have been around enough. I go down a wormhole and we goad each other on. It's kind of what we do, and we wound up at Hut consent laws somehow. I don't fucking remember exactly how we got there. Unfortunately, that episode is not available to listen to.
Yeah, it's gone
I
in
just
the ether.
looked back to see, and it ends at like episode 70. Like, it's very fucking close.
I'm even surprised it goes back that far, honestly.
It does. Spotify does. Spotify goes
Okay.
back to episode 70. I was hoping to be like, oh, that, so I would like know, like that was exactly the one, know the date and everything, but couldn't scroll back that far. That's why I was close on my guess of about when it was, is because I actually looked to see if I could find it. And it's honestly like you should re-upload that one too. You should re-upload all of our first episodes, honestly. Not just the first, all of them. You put all 3 of those additional ones out there, since you and Josh already have yours. One, I just want to re-listen to it and find out how we did get there. I remember we got there, and I remember I'm sure it was a ridiculous way, but I would like to know. I would like to remember
Inquiring minds need to know.
that. I've never re-listened to it, because I don't listen to the ones I'm on, ever, because I don't like to listen to myself.
It's weird because that's the only ones I listen to.
I was going to say, Ian, I know, is the exact opposite, because he will go back and look for specific zingers just to bring them up later on and be like, I got them there. Listen to that. That's a good one.
Nailed them.
That'll be Ian's version of the clip show that he puts together for this. Is just when he feels like he owned one of someone else on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to come a point at which, Ian and I think have historically had our arguments on the episode, our disagreements, our agreements, our things we've done. And I think starting with the Snoke theories was a good spot. But I mean, someday this whole Godzilla versus Kong thing is going to resolve itself.
Yeah, because
they're
you're getting
both-
the tattoo. You told me. You finally admitted it. Godzilla's superior. You're getting that tattoo of Godzilla on your back.
Well, I don't know about my back, but I mean, eventually,
The
yes,
whole
it may be my back.
whole back.
Actually,
It's a whole
yes,
back piece.
actually. The
You knew
plan
it.
for it is actually Godzilla having destroyed Pittsburgh, kind of standing at the point in the water.
And then he comes on your back.
Ah.
Is that the fountain at the point?
So
Yes.
now, did Godzilla consent to that? I think that's how we got about HUD consent laws, if you're wondering. That's what happened. Something like that
it may as well
happened,
be
and I
that
said,
roundabout.
wait, do HUDs have consent laws? Because you start thinking about it, like, why would they,
Well, specifically, it was consent laws and HUT-controlled systems. I remember that part, because
Yeah.
it's not just HUT consent laws. Like, we shortened it to that. But, I mean, you have to talk about HUT-controlled systems, because they're gangsters, And
And the Trade Federation, what's that? That's
what's
Star
their
Wars is
consent
all
laws?
about this
Maybe
kind of
wait,
stuff.
hold on, can we get into this real quick, Brian? I'm sorry, I know we derail things sometimes, but seriously, the Trade Federation,
Sometimes.
what are we thinking? Like, they invaded Naboo with no consent at all, so I feel like they're pro no consent.
I mean, that's an invasion. I mean, that's kind of the definition.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I mean, like, I don't
But
know.
I think
I'm just,
to Mike's point about that, it took less than 15 months for me to become the worst person ever to exist. That's a big accomplishment for myself. I went from a nice, normal boy to HUD consent laws. Discuss.
I should have went back and looked at like other
was
people's
the
first
turning point.
episodes, because I feel like other people were baptized by Ian as their first episodes as well. And I don't remember who else has been through that gauntlet, but I know there were others. Because I
mean-
feel like there's always the hey, by the way, you're going to be on with this guy. Things might get a little bit weird, but just kind of roll with it.
I feel like you did not give me that at all, by the way.
Maybe you were the first, and maybe after you, I had to learn to say that to other people as they were coming on.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you picked the topic I could roll with it on, at least. I just want to make clear, like, had it been like, oh, I don't know, the googly eyes and toenail clipping shit or whatever it was. Oh, how are you not? This was played on a clip show. They can go back and listen to one of the anniversary clip shows that the whole toenail clipping bag thing was somewhere.
I feel like I vaguely remember that. The googly eyes definitely stick more in my memory.
The googly eyes do
That's
more,
what they do. They stick.
but they don't bother
Yeah,
me.
I got that. Thanks.
The toenail clippings thing bothered me enough that it's burned into my memory. Is like, God damn it. So it's something there. And I remember specifically, that was the time we were at your house recording around your table that you played
So
a
that
clip.
was either 100 or 150, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And you played a clip for us that you never aired, obviously, because, yeah. And it was just like, oh, what the fuck? Like, so some of the shit that your mind can come up with, Ian, is fascinating. and
Yeah,
it makes for
listeners, you don't
great
even hear half
conversation.
the
I love
shit
it.
that comes out of his mouth. Like there's a lot on the cutting room floor that comes out of that guy's mouth that we have not used.
Yeah, I know. I wrote most of Sucker Punch. It's
Oh, okay. So that explains a lot. That explains a lot.
I do want to spin back to, since we were sort of talking about it. Mike, you said you do not listen to episodes that you're on. Ian, I
Not that
know
I'm on,
does.
no.
Josh, I know you go back and listen to probably every episode, right? On or not.
I do just for the hell of it. It's content. It's something to have, on the CD player, so to speak. Like just
Yeah.
to do. Yeah.
But I don't know if Andy ever goes back and listens. Do you go back and listen to episodes, whether you're on them or not, or is that something you do, or you just like to be on and that's it?
I have listened to episodes that I'm on, and I find it extremely weird. So I generally avoid the ones I've been on because I was there, like I witnessed it.
Yeah.
But I have listened to ones that you guys have been on and
Yeah.
I was not a part of, just to see what you guys would say. But
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say that I regularly do it.
Yeah. Okay. And that was the biggest hurdle I think for me to get over when first doing this is listening to myself back in some sort of recorded capacity. And I think after a while, just editing, you just kind of get used to it. But yeah, for someone that doesn't see the editing process and you just see the finished product, like that's still weird.
Yeah, it's just weird hearing your own voice sometimes. You're like, wait, that's not how I sound like to me.
Yeah.
Like I know specifically, at least Brian monitors his own audio, right?
Yeah, usually.
I can't even do that. I can't speak right if I hear myself speaking at the same time, and I don't want to hear myself speaking while I'm doing it. What about you guys? Do you guys monitor your audio while we're sitting here? Do you hear yourself in your ears as well as us?
Like right now as we're recording, my own voice is coming through my headphones along with everybody else. So I can hear my levels right now as we're recording. Does anybody else do that? You don't like that?
I don't believe
have
I
that
do
set
because
up.
I'm not hearing myself currently.
Okay.
no. I listen to other episodes I'm on to get ideas for new zingers while we're doing this.
Zingers?
I just know if I try to do it, my mouth does not work right. So something goes wrong if I'm hearing myself while I'm trying to speak. I just start slurring and fumbling, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's another hurdle to get over. And maybe that's what helped me break it too. Just that I would hear myself as I'm going. So even between that and listening myself back when editing, it's just I've gotten used to it now over the years.
Brian, is there ever a slight delay of any kind, or are you hearing yourself completely in real time?
Yeah, real time. Yes.
Okay, that wouldn't be as jarring as I'm kind of picturing for myself.
Yeah.
I would say try it sometime and see how you like it, because he obviously does, and
it's more that it helps me at least a little bit be conscious of other ambient noises that the microphone is picking up. So basically all I'm hearing is what the microphone picks up. So if I hear bang somewhere, if I hear it in my headphones, obviously the microphone picks it up, and that's something I have to be aware of when editing.
we have to remember too, Brian has sensory levels above the rest of us. He plays with inverted controls in video
That's
games.
true.
His level of sensory input is just on a level we are not at.
I always thought that was the way to do it until I've met enough people that play video games and they're like, they need it regular, and I go inverted, and then they look at me like I'm nuts, and I'm like, this is, it's how I grew up. That's what I'm used to. I don't know.
I don't fly airplanes.
That's like being
Is it-
right-handed, but playing a left-handed guitar upside down.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried that. Maybe I can do that.
I feel like it's just GoldenEye. You played so much fucking GoldenEye, which forced
GoldenEye and Perfect
inverted
Dark.
controls, and you couldn't switch it. So,
Yep, that was the bar for sure. Maybe just around the horn for you guys. Favorite type of episode to be on, or if you listen to them, whether you're on them or not, favorite kind to listen to. Josh, I know you've probably listened to the most and been on the most. So I'm gonna start with you. Do you have any thoughts on either of those?
The list episodes honestly are always a good time. Like, those are the ones that are the least unpredictable in a way. So
Yeah.
to some degree, you know what the structure is going to be. You know where, even if a particular comment or topic kind of veers, you know where the guardrails are, so where we need to get back to. Where everything else is just free form, open discussion. Like you make up an outline. Most of us barely, review the content ahead of time, let alone make notes or anything. So all of this is just, we're just pontificating completely off the top of our heads. But the ones that I like listening to the most, that comes to mind quickly that I haven't heard in years. The first time I heard a Rumble Double Jammers episode, because I don't know if I was ever, I might have been a part of one of those. I don't know if I was, but the couple that you guys did, oh my God, so freaking entertaining.
I forgot all about those, to be honest.
Can we please bring those back? Can we just do it one or two more times, please?
Right? The name Ian just threw out, you were like asking, you knew what the concept was going to be, and everybody knew what you were about to do. You didn't have a name for it. Yeah. Ian just throws out of his mouth, Rumble Double Jammers. And you all kept it. I don't even know if you could hear what he had said, but
we
you
did
just
modify it to make it Rumble Double Mumble Jammers, because Brian can't say it.
Which was part of the bit, I'm sure. You said it like that just because you know I can't say it.
It's just the most natural thing in the world to say.
Yeah, that's something I think we probably should look into, because I honestly, we haven't done it in so long, and I don't remember what episode we kind of fell off from that, but I almost feel like I need a refresher on the concept of it, because I remember doing it and talking about it, and I don't remember what the hell we did with it.
We were like versing things, right?
Yeah, it was some sort of fight to the death or something, I think.
So we would each get like a category of like blue characters or god characters, and we'd each nominate them, and then they would have to fight, and we'd pick out who would win.
Oh, yeah, we pick our representative, and we put them in a pit and say based on
Well, I think we each brought our own 4, and then we would decide whose would advance into like a final one,
Right, okay.
And yeah, I think that was just more of a thing when like there weren't trailers or movies to see, and instead of just doing like, what's up, what you guys, what you doing, what you how, one of those episodes you do,
Yeah.
What's up and what you would... you would do Rumble Double
What's up
Gems.
with you? Yeah, that's very simple. It's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, we haven't done one of those either in a while. Mike, you had something to say for Rumble Dumble? Something to add?
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to run a quick thing here. Hands up. Let me see your guys' hands. I don't want any Googlers here. Urban Dictionary. What is a Rumble Dumble?
Oh, God.
We looked this up. We talked about it in the past.
I do not remember that at all.
Neither do I.
No, nothing.
Oh, it's when Jackie Chan beats the shit out of you with jet skis.
You know what? That would be better. Urban
we do
Dictionary
need a word for that, though.
defines a Rumble Dumble as having a baby with an earthquake.
Oh,
wait, with the earthquake or during an earthquake?
With an earthquake. The baby is it's a Rumble Dumble.
That's Peru. That's Peruvian folklore.
Sure.
That's how their sun god was made.
I just feel like we had to come back to that, because I remember we found this out so long after, and I can't remember who looked it up, but one of us looked it up and brought back that it was an earthquake baby thing, and it was just... I'm so glad we called it that.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I do remember that. Josh, were there any other... I know we're talking about episodes that you'd like to listen to or beyond. Was there anything else that in your wheelhouse that you liked for that?
I always enjoy, whether I'm a part of them or not, the never seen that's, because even if it's not my movie in a way, getting someone else's input and take on something that is, generally fairly old, is always interesting to hear, so many years or decades in some cases afterward. And specifically, the 60-second summaries that we would do for Rewind Theater, whether I was doing them or someone else, I loved it, because everybody brought their own approach to it, had their own flavor, way of doing it, from speed talking to haikus to anything else. Those were great. Episode types, that might be it. I could throw out some really small specific moments. And actually, they both have to do with Andy.
So the
Oh,
moments
jeez.
the moments one I'll come back to because I do have
got a
a
separate
we'll
one?
get around
Okay,
to favorite memories, sort of like
Putting that back in
memories
the
over the
pocket.
past 10 years. So yeah.
Got it.
I guess who else has been here? I guess Ian, you're the next one up as for being on the show the longest. Any other I guess favorite type of episodes to be on or listen to that
Well,
you can remember?
Anyone that knows me and knows what I do on this show, you know I love a good list episode. You know I love being on them. You know I like being here to listing out 50 things.
So
you
full
know
of
it's
shit.
my favorite thing ever. I love talking list. That's why I have my own listicle show, The List.
I want to be clear. After Ian was subjected to a 4-hour list episode, he specifically told me he would never be on a list episode ever again.
It was hell.
It
Obviously,
was
Rumble
live
Dumble
on
Mumble Jams
Twitch, too.
are fantastic. I think Rewind Theater was a very fun time for us. I really enjoyed those. They gave me a lot of great memories, and obviously the greatest Captain America quote of all time. Please pull over. I'm going to be sick. Just I reference that in my daily life now. What would Cap do? It's really changed me, and the Rewind Theater brought a lot of good stuff, and unfortunately reminded me they made all those goddamn turtle movies. I would say the low point of cinema. Really, I'm surprised they kept making movies after that first one. I really thought that would bring a big crash like the Atari did to video games. I thought the Turtles would do to movies, but
Josh is so pissed off he has to walk away right now.
but here we are.
Hold on, wait. Can I interject?
They
something?
ruined Corey Feldman.
No. I'm not worried about that. You can whatever. Did you just say Atari brought a crash to video games?
I'm about the Atari crash, but not. I guess it wasn't Atari's fault specifically, but kind of is. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they did ET,
Yes, they did.
so yeah, their crash. It's kind of their fault.
I wonder if there's any truth to a whole bunch of ET copies being buried in the desert somewhere.
That is true. There was a documentary on that where they dug them up.
There you go.
And yeah. So those were really kind of like my two favorite things: List, Mumble Jams, Rewind Theater.
I think only 2 of those are true. I think the
That's-
first
that's-
one
that's
you
the game.
vehemently
Truth and a lie.
hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 lies and a truth.
Andy, favorite episode to be on and or listen to?
Favorite episodes to be on. I always enjoyed doing the What's Up With You episodes because they were completely random and they were very unscripted other than people knowing what they've been up to and were able to talk about. So you never knew how that would reflect on the other guests and how they would react and the questions that you would get
Yeah.
or yourself have for what other people are doing. I always enjoyed that. You know me, I don't really like to prepare, so everything's kind of off the cuff, and I don't like to take notes and stuff. So
Andy hates list episodes
So,
because
the-
he has to make a list.
yeah, so those ones I always enjoyed being on. As far as ones that I like to listen to, I did like the Never Seen That episodes that I was not a part of because, specifically when it comes to a movie that maybe I really enjoyed watching and oh, this person has never seen that. I want to hear what they have to say about this movie that, has been a part of my life for many, many years.
Yeah.
I always thought that was pretty interesting.
Nice. Mike, anything for you that sticks out? Favorite episode to be on / listen to?
I mean, I think everybody has kind of hit on the Rumble Dumble Jam thing. Those were fantastic. I enjoy making lists, and those episodes are something we've said. Even if we stop doing the show entirely, we're still going to do those lists and discuss what we liked from the year and what we are looking forward to. And those are always fun. But I think just any episode. I just had so much fun through the years doing this with you guys that it's hard to nail down just one because it's always fun just to come in and record. And I think some of the most fun I had were kind of what Andy was touching on, the unexpected moments, hearing things that I didn't expect to hear, opinions I didn't know anything about, didn't know somebody had. finding out, what you guys are into. And then, honestly, just sitting down with Josh and doing our horror episodes. That, Brian, you could make our day and make the best episode ever by taking part in one of those and watching the movies for it. It would be great one time to do. But nonetheless, I think those ones are kind of special because it's, just Josh and I sitting down for something that we're really into together. That, I don't think Andy and Ian are exactly opposed to horror the way that you are. But I don't think either of them gets into the same kind of depth of interest in it that Josh and I do. And, cares about things like Terrifier, which, your average sane person's not going to bother to watch.
Well, not anymore.
Let me also.
I'm
let me also
speaking for
qualify,
you. I'm
perhaps.
speaking for you. You love
Yeah.
Terrifier. You loved it. It was great. It was amazing.
We're gonna amend part of that maybe.
He's a clown.
That's fair. But yeah, I would say it's hard to nail down just one for me. It's hard to nail down just one.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. I still have my favorites. The list episodes I think are still some of my favorites, which I know we still owe the listeners a few. So I haven't forgotten that stuff. I still plan to do at some point. The ones I always, and maybe it was more just because it was more of like what I sort of envisioned for the show at one point, was a lot of like the geek news stuff and the deep dive for topics that we do. Like, admittedly, they're some of the hardest episodes for me to put together because they involve a lot of research and stuff that I have to put together to present to either these guys or the listeners. But like some of those full-on research topics that I will do I know we did for one of the milestone ones. I think it might have been 250 or 200 or something. But the superhero movies that could have been, I enjoyed looking all that stuff up and presenting that to people. When I think it was me, Mike, and Ian, I think, went through the Colin Trevorrow Star Wars Episode 9 script. That was fun. The numerous times we've talked about the web of how the Spider-Man rights are all tied up, like all that shit just interests the fuck out of me. And like I like trying to find ways to dumb it down so that people that don't follow this stuff can figure it out and follow along to how it goes and how it makes sense and why we're concerned about it or something like that. Like that's a lot of what I've always enjoyed. And even just like the quick hit headline news stuff. Like we follow this stuff a lot more than anybody else typically does. I know there's some people that I've talked to over the years, usually friends of mine, obviously, but because we don't have a very large listening base, but the people that at least comment to me and tell me, hey, I've listened to this and this is what I liked about this. People will learn stuff from the geek news that we talk about because, again, they don't follow that stuff, so we present it for them to listen to, and it fascinates me when they learn about stuff from us. I always thought that was kind of cool. And the Rumble Domo Jams were fun. I completely forgot about those as well. Oh, and the trivia ones. We used to do some of the trivia ones we've done, I think, have been fun. For the, we'll pull out a Trivial Pursuit for what we did: Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, and I think those are the three that we've done.
I got so sweaty in the Marvel one when I was hosting it. It was very hot in my room that day. I felt I was under a lot of pressure. It was really hot. I think I almost doxed Mike 4 times. I think I literally just started giving out his address at one point.
But yeah, those, I think all the trivia ones, did we do all of them live? I remember doing at least a couple of them live. We had a live scorecard. Yeah, because
the live episodes are fun.
And they give me the most anxiety. I will admit that I am running on adrenaline for most of those episodes because just the uncontrolled nature of a live broadcast still just like wires me that like I don't know what to do with it.
But they're so raw and authentic. I think it's hard to beat.
Uncut.
Wasn't that what we called the little offshoot at one time?
No, it was
Super
dark.
Friends
I
Uncut?
thought it was dark.
No, I edited it. It was Super Friends Uncut.
So you just pretended you didn't remember?
Yeah. No, well, for fuck's sake, it's the illusion. We're making a show.
All right, so I'll start back with Josh. Any episodes or segments that you are glad we don't do anymore, or that have fell by the wayside, or are there any that you miss that we don't do anymore?
Say all of them.
I don't know. Honestly, I'd probably have to be reminded of ones from that like a really long time ago that we tried to dip into. Um, I remember I tried for a while myself before it just got like too hard to keep track of. Um, a thing that I came up with called walking between two worlds. If an actor or actress
yeah.
had been a part of, call it like a Marvel universe property at some point in their career, but also DC or some other comic book or graphic novel based type of thing. And I kept up with that until like I had this whole massive spreadsheet I put together. I kept up with it through like Eternals once I made it. Now, to be fair, I didn't start it until like Infinity War, so it was a little bit. But
I actually remember when you started it. I believe it's not Infinity War.
Like it got too much. Like it was happening too often, and then it was just too hard to keep track of. It just got out of control. So I'm kind of glad that I let that die, because that also like probably wasn't like that well received. That's fine. No, as far
do
as
you
things
remember
I like,
when it started? Like I actually believe I do. I
go for
believe
it.
I remember the first Between Two Worlds, maybe not actual official segment, but like the inception of it.
Okay.
Shortly after I came on the show, Brian allowed you and I. He was there for it, even though he did not watch the show, The Walking Dead. And
Right.
I believe
Yeah,
John
and
Bernthal, being the Punisher, started this.
it could have.
I
That would make
believe
sense
we
with
talked
given the
about
timing.
like looking at that kind of thing in that episode, just briefly.
It makes
And
absolute sense.
I believe that is the inception of that. Sorry, I just wanted to cut that in because I do remember.
Josh, what about all those times you watched Fast and Furious movies?
Well,
You're glad that died. Let's be honest. You're okay with that.
Whoa, died? It's not
okay,
over.
so
It's not over.
I will hold
Family.
I will hold my thoughts on that because Brian said there's going to be a separate category we're going to discuss for
Okay,
favorite
all right.
moments and things. So I will reserve my comments for that.
For least favorite moments. That's where that's okay.
I guess upcoming question. I don't have it as like favorite memories, least favorite. It's just more memories over the last 10 years. So
Yeah.
I don't fit in that category.
But as Mike said, I am glad that we had like a prompt like this. I enjoyed the several years, like twice a year, he and I would try to do our horror jamboree roundup extravaganzas. We never settled on an official,
No, we called it something different
consistent
every time.
name every single time, and really didn't try to get consistency kind of on purpose. Those are always good, and similar probably for the sentiments that you shared. We both, kind of did our respective discussion and research and putting the outline together and looking up, information about each thing we were going to talk about that was, upcoming. That was always a good time. I like that exercise.
Nice.
And I will say, okay, one little pet peeve I have, we came up with the never seen that idea years before AMC movie theaters started running their sort of sneak peek marketing program about a year and a half ago that they are calling Screen Unseen. But I think they stole some shit, to be quite honest.
From that
second,
DVD game, seen it.
And theirs isn't even as clever because they don't even use like the pun of SCENE. They just spell unseen normally. Total huge missed opportunity. And so honestly, I think they stole our shit and we do it better anyway.
Yeah, we over the years, I guess we haven't done enough to keep up the emphasis
Copyright.
on the scene of that.
Oh, I
that
have
phrase.
every time I try to say it.
You have. I know I'm been guilty of just saying never seen that and not playing it up enough.
Just
Yeah,
start
if only you
pronouncing
made
hard
t-shirts.
C's.
Yeah. But it's like, I know we spell it out correctly whenever we put those episodes up. So at least it's there in writing, which we are doing what we meant to do.
Oh, now the next time you have to spell it that way, though, just to piss Josh off.
No, spell it incorrectly.
No,
Well,
correctly.
SEEN.
Yeah.
Never seen that. Trademarks Joshua Zorch.
Visual audio trademark.
Ian, any topic segments that you're glad we don't talk about anymore, or some that you don't miss?
Oh, I absolutely love when we do list episodes, so I'm real happy that that's sticking around. Is the only episodes we do anymore is list episodes, so thrilled about that. I kind of like that we stopped talking about trailers because I don't watch them. Like, I don't go out of my way to ever watch trailers. I don't do the weird thing where I have to put on like headphones and like avert my eyes because I'm in a movie theater. But I don't actively. I can't. Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah, half this podcast does, and I don't do that. But I just don't. I don't go out of my way to see trailers. So I was really only ever watching trailers because I was on this show, and I think I enjoy movies more when I don't know like anything about them. So I'm kind of happy that kind of died down. The only other thing, I guess, you know me, big trust guy, so I hate broken promises. So I'm happy we no longer do episodes where we all promise to stream a game and finish it on stream and then not do it.
Also guilty. Yep.
I did not promise to finish that game. I promised to play it on stream. I did play it on stream. I did not like it, so I did not finish it.
I played
Which was yours?
Metroid Dread.
Heavy Metal
I think
2.
Andy is finally getting to his, right? It's been, what, four or 5 years? Or I don't know when we recorded that episode, but it's been years. And Andy was finally getting to stream his game that he had agreed to do.
So all the bets about who was going to be last, it's Brian.
I streamed it once.
He started.
Oh, okay.
I had one, 2.5 hour stream of BioShock, and that was as far as I got. I need to go back and play more. But that has been sitting on the back burner with full intention to finish, but I've said that for the past probably year now, and I still have not done it. So I'll probably be the last to finish. Andy will probably beat
But
me
Mike
to it.
stops. He's done.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
never-
not
That's true.
finishing because
Okay.
I did not like the game, so...
Fair enough.
I'm the only one that finished.
So
Well,
far, Andy's
you get
going to
a-
finish. That's...
Only some people can finish.
We're using the
we
word
doing a
finish a
thing?
lot.
You know the thing? I don't know. I get the googly eyes out.
I mean, Ian, I'm with you. I'm glad we don't do the trailers anymore. I think that is one thing I am happy has fell by the wayside. And even trying to prep everybody for those, it was I'd be sending links to everybody to make sure you're watching the right trailer, because half the time I can't trust the internet to give you the correct trailer I want you to watch. It's like if I just say watch the the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer, there could be 3 of them out there. How do I know you're watching the right one? I have to make sure I find the right one for you to watch, so we're talking about the same material. Make sure we're watching it before we record so that everybody's on the same page. A lot of people would watch it right as we're doing the cold open recording, right before we start to record.
True.
Yeah, so it was a lot more than I wanted to do. And again, just some of the stuff that we'd always talk about, we'd always get stuck on these stupid little parts of the trailer, which mean nothing. I think they were, I don't know, at the time I felt like fun to talk about. But yeah, looking back at them, I'm like, we were, 1, mostly wrong. And 2, I said it earlier, but just kind of and Ian said it too, kind of soils the experience of watching the movie. So I've had, over the years, much more enjoyment giving myself one trailer. It's the only one I watch, and then I go in kind of blind after that. And I've enjoyed a lot of stuff a lot more that way. Andy, any topics or segments that you're glad we kind of fell by the wayside?
I suppose the trailers, while I enjoyed talking about them with you guys, it seemed we're a lot of guesswork,
Oh, yeah.
that you sort of have these great expectations in your head after you come up with all these. I mean, we've come up with a lot of cockamamie shit. So when you, especially like Star Wars, you're like this and this and this, and then you watch the movie and you're like, wow, none of that should happen.
I mean, typically now, do
I
you avoid a lot of
suppose-
trailers for stuff that you want to see?
No, if they happen organically, I don't go searching for them.
Okay.
Like if I'm at a movie, I'll watch all the trailers just to be like, oh, I didn't know that movie existed, didn't know it was coming out.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if it happens organically, I'll watch it.
You're not as anal as Josh and I. I get it.
No,
Like
no.
Andy, I was telling
But,
them I now know that how many a minimum amount of runs for the next Mission Impossible because I watched the trailer in the theater.
It's true. It's true.
It is true. Yeah.
I was also keeping an eye out for helicopters.
He's better. He's better off in our pool. as was one of the questions, which ones I don't like being on?
Topics or segments that you are glad we don't do, or I guess the other part of it is, are there any that we don't do that you miss?
Okay. The Rumble Double Jams I do miss, and I forgot completely about, but those were a blast to do. They were a lot of laughing. It was just fun.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? Anything you're glad we don't do anymore, or anything that you miss that we don't do anymore?
So I'll say I'm glad we don't do list episodes the way we used to.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that format has always kind of evolved.
Well, again, you're Ian. You're saying like, the 4-hour episode and shit like that's because that's how we did them. We had a format that just made them take so much longer.
To be fair, that 4-hour episode was 2 years worth of movies because we were after
It was still
COVID
one
time.
list. It wasn't 20 movies. It was not 20 fucking movies, though.
We gave ourselves more movies to put in that list.
It was a little bit longer, yeah.
We had mostly everybody there for that, and we were streaming it while we were talking to chat and stuff while we were doing it. So it was a loaded episode.
It was, but let's not act like the other list episodes at that time were short with that format.
Oh no, that's fair too.
Let's not go there.
Shorter list episodes compared to that were 3 hours instead of 4. So yeah, we're still up there.
We have definitely refined that down quite a bit to less than half of what it used to be in terms of length. And we're still getting the same content out. We're still getting the same information to the listener, and the stuff that we want to say is still getting out. But because we fixed it a little bit, it's much better as a format now, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. As much as I like talking about stuff for that long with you guys, it did drone on. By the time we were getting to the end of the list, I feel like we were rushing our number ones. And it was like, these are the things I want to talk about most. But because we've been here for so long, we're just snapping them off, trying to get it done as fast as we can because we're looking at the time on the recording and we're like, shit. And it just happens that way. So I'm glad we've fixed that. And as far as things that, I want to see come back, it's Rumble Dumble Jam. I mean, I think we could have a whole podcast separate, make an offshoot, just Rumble Dumble Jams. And people would listen to that shit, man. Look at, what is it called? The Death Battle?
Smash or Pass Pokemon. I've seen that.
What?
Celebrity Deathmatch?
No. It's
Epic
literally
rap
called
battles from history.
The claymation stuff. Like,
there's a very successful podcast that existed for a long time called Death Battle. And all they did was take two characters and have an hour-long discussion of who's going to win the fight. People like that kind of shit, and I love recording that kind of shit. I think we could have a whole offshoot. Just Rumble Dumble Jam the podcast. And, there's all kind of potential there. There's potential there. And even if we don't do that, which, let's face it, we're not going to do that.
VR chat.
Whoa.
You're the character you're talking about the whole time.
Whoa. Right? I want to record them again, one way or the other. We need to set that up. We need to start working that back in. If we ever get back to recording consistently again, I want that to be a consistent part of things because it's too much fun to leave out, and I miss it. And I don't know why we stopped in the first place.
I don't remember either. I think the only thing I can think of is me personally was probably having trouble trying to figure out what groups to put together to try to figure out what to fight or how.
I always thought it was just
that's
thing you were
vaguely what I
filling
remember.
At the time. Like
was,
you just didn't
yeah,
have other content to do. Like you didn't have other stuff to talk about. So this was like, this is how I fill a week.
Yeah.
Well, there was a long time there where movies just weren't coming out when we were recording this stuff. That whole COVID period there was a nice stretch. Once they ran out of their back catalog of stuff that had already been filmed and just needed edited, there was a bit of a dry spell where content, there just wasn't anything happening. So, yeah, I think that's probably what led to it. And then we got more stuff and we stopped, I guess, then is what we're saying.
I feel like we did it before COVID, didn't we? I thought it was earlier on.
I think so, but again, I think it was just more of a fill a week. It wasn't like
Yeah.
Never something like, I want to do this, all, X amount of times or every X times. It was, And there's not enough news to do, or I didn't feel like looking up news. I got to record though. Oh fuck. Guys,
Yeah.
name 4 characters.
True, but I feel like
That-
we
yeah.
put in more, like we, not Brian, put in more prep effort into those than we did other episodes.
I have a whole
Because-
script.
You maybe, yeah. But the rest of us, I feel like we each had to come up with like, didn't we do it where we came up with our own category each and we filled it ourselves, and then we all debated who would win, and then we would have the winners of all of those have their own rumble dumble at the end of the episode. I believe that's what we did.
I think however many people were on, I think we each came with a category of, people to pick from. I think we told each other the categories ahead of time so we could each pick a fighter from said category, and then to your point, yeah, whoever won out of the tournament tree would then fight, like the champions of each of our topics would then fight each other for one more round, and then we'd claim a champion at the end.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
The thing I remember most is Dr. Manhattan didn't end up winning when he was on the show, because I think Ian pointed out correctly that at some point there was like blue people as one of the categories, and he didn't end up winning the show because he just fucked off to Mars and decided not to fight anymore. He just chose to not participate, and nobody could make him, so he didn't win.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But yeah, that
I know I'm in the minority. I don't really care if Rewind Theater comes back. I'm going to say it. That's one of my least favorite categories that we've ever done. I think it was fun at the start, and then after a while, it wore on me. I realize I am outvoted, and will probably keep doing it because I'm outvoted. But that is not one of my favorites.
what is it? Do you not like watching bad movies?
That's part of it. Yeah, I think
You watch those Turtles movies?
those are good. You God damn it.
I'm pretty sure Brian almost just used a hard R. I just want to. It almost happened.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't even couldn't even pinpoint what I don't like. But it's like, I don't know. It never towards the. I don't want to say the end of it because I know we were still doing them, but somewhere towards the end of the last runs we've done, it was more difficult for me to want to even watch the movie and try to do it. So that's where I was like, I am just losing interest in this. But
so our setup for the Fantastic Four before Fantastic Four, we don't have much time left for that.
I know that's what. Yeah, we're counting down to July, right?
Yeah, we need to get
June,
on that.
July.
Yeah, and we already did the Fan 4 stick.
Yeah,
that was a COVID project.
That was a COVID
so we wouldn't
one.
have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just on to the
but the
Ian
other two-
Griffode and Chris Evans and Jessica Alba stuff.
Because that was the one that actually we spun the wheel for that. That actually happened to fall on that before. I think we talked about trying to fix it, like so that it would fall to that. But I think we legit spun it and it hit Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
You
I
keep
just
saying
remember
that, but I had to watch 4 Turtle movies, and I know that wasn't natural.
and I just remember we did Speed Racer. And we landed on Fantastic Four. I don't.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, perfect, because that movie's coming out at that time. What is that like? When
the-
did we record
the Speed Racer episode ever go up?
The more that we talk about Speed Racer now, I'm like, did I ever upload that? I honestly don't.
I don't think
that
you
I did.
And there was like a
we got
year
it
and a
in the
half
bank.
break.
It's in the bank.
Yeah, it's there.
Spoilers.
It's
Sorry,
somewhere.
didn't realize it hadn't been uploaded. We landed on
It might
Fantastic
still need
Four.
edited. I don't remember if I did anything with it. I know it's recorded. So that could be some secret bonus episode that comes out at some point. Maybe Speed Racer will make an appearance before. And I think, I don't know, maybe it was just like hitting the certain string of movies we did with Rewind Theater that it was just like really difficult for me to want to get through it. Because I know
That's
there's good
fair.
movies in there, and I know we've hit
Yeah.
some decent movies, but
See,
I think
watching,
a lot of most of what we watched was not great.
I think watching those is the fun part, though. Like, man, look at how shit these movies were, and look at what we get today. You know, like it's a time capsule of what existed then, and like, you know, even back then, those people were doing the best that they could with what they had, and for the most part, like they weren't making a Swamp Thing movie because they thought, oh, this is gonna make like money hand over fist. They were making a Swamp Thing movie because they enjoyed the content. They just weren't very good at making movies. So it was still people passionate about the same stuff that we're passionate about. They just didn't have the skill to make in technology to make the movie the way that would be better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we will do more Rewind Theater. It's just, for the record, not one of my favorites. We'll see if it comes around, but as of right now, this moment, at 10 years on, not my favorite.
The most annoying thing about Rewind Theater, I thought, was trying to find a way to watch the old movies that weren't on any kind of
some of them,
platform.
are
Sometimes
very difficult to find.
Yeah.
So the last one that we uploaded was episode 262 in May of 2022, which was Red Sonja.
Wow.
And the other than this one, the most recent episode that was released was number 309. So there was over 45 episodes between there, and I want to say we recorded Speed Racer literally like a year ago. Like, we put it off for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And then recorded it finally about a year ago.
I said some things you're not allowed to say anymore in that.
And see, I don't even remember what that is now. Because if I have to edit it, I don't know where those notes are. So we'll see if I remember to take out what you can't say.
I watched all the Conan movies to prep for Red Sonja.
That I remember. Yeah.
Just like I watched Captain America 9 times.
All right. Josh, we'll spin back to you for... I know you've been holding on to some stuff. Memories that come to mind over the last 10 years of doing this show. What do you got in the bag? What have you been holding on to that you want to talk about?
I know there's one that will just be brought up by someone else, and even though it's not, so like I'll that's sort of like not mine to share, but the ones that come to mind the fastest, it was a cold open, and the day that Ian made a legitimate operational online apparel store in 10 minutes, which 10 minutes after that, Mike accidentally bought some of the shit that he created.
Hashtag white spider liquid.
Watching that happen in real time, one of the funniest things I've ever been witness to.
And it's so sad to me that we were not recording at that time, because it was after we had finished recording.
Yep.
Yes.
And everything was done.
That's what it was.
And the look on Mike's face when he realized he bought a shirt for $30 that was basically just a black shirt with text on it.
It wasn't one shirt, though.
How many shirts did you buy?
I think it was just 2.
Like in the same
one
transaction or different ones?
Yeah, no, it was the same transaction. Like, it was like...
Okay.
So the one is hashtag white spider liquid, which is a blue shirt that has a pretty cool white font on it that says hashtag white spider liquid. The other shirt, I still have this. It's just up in my drawer. I've never worn it because...
Why wouldn't you? All those fast movies.
No, you know what? I did wear it the one time. And your wife, Josh, was extremely upset that I actually wore it. Because maybe not extremely upset, but noticeably uncomfortable, and maybe she didn't say it. Because I met her waiting on you to go see one of the Fast movies, or maybe you were sitting it out, and it was like I met...
Oh, I was definitely sitting it out if it was in theaters. Yeah, I was not there.
Okay, so then it was like I met
Fast
Sarah
8 or
and
something.
Brian then at the waterfront is what it was. And I met her there earlier because Brian was running later or something like that. And I have my shirt, and I promised I would wear it. And it's something, oh God, like I want to watch Vin Diesel mouthfuck a beer.
No, it's just Vin Diesel mouthfuck a beer. That's all it was. I don't even think
Vin
it said
Diesel
mouthfuck
mouthfuck
a
a
beer.
beer.
It just says
Yeah.
Vin Diesel mouthfucks a beer. That's how he drinks them.
Yeah.
That's how he drinks his Ronas.
I have worn it that one time. And it is still just up in my drawer, folded up and nice, just with the white spider liquid. I cherish it.
One of my best sellers.
That was the other comment that made me die laughing at the point, because immediately after that, Ian changed the wording on the website to say #1 bestseller for the t-shirt that Mike just bought.
Like I said, I care about the truth. I don't like liars.
Mike, did you eventually buy a Blard Holio t-shirt too, or no?
A what?
I feel like a Blard Holio one.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like
I did.
remember you
I
talking
bought
about
that
a
one on
Blard-
But
purpose,
okay.
though.
I got him. I got him
Okay.
that one at cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was intentional. But the Vin Diesel mouthfucking a beer and the White Spider liquid were not. The White Spider liquid I wore a few times. It got some looks, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm a man in my late 30s that shouldn't be walking around wearing this.
Hey kid, you like Spider-Man?
But now I kind of want to wear them again because I just don't give a shit. So fuck it, why not? Throw them on.
Apparently, there's another Spider-Man movie coming out like next summer in
Beautiful.
2026.
There you go.
As long as it
time.
still fits. I can't speak. I'm a whole different size than I was then. We'll see. I will try it on. It also has probably shrunk and needs washed again. Will probably shrink more. If you can find that website where Ian sold those shirts, not the greatest quality. Just going to put that out there.
Shouts out to Spring Tea.
So that jumps to mind first and foremost, almost. And then the ones that I mentioned earlier that I alluded to Andy. I forget if there was a movie that I don't recall if was on his anticipated for 2017 or if just at some point in a discussion about, I don't know, things you're interested in or what it came up as like, oh, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, it just looked intriguing, blah, blah, blah. It's a movie called The Circle. And then when The Circle came out, Andy saw it, which I think you went to theaters for it. Unless you caught it afterward, but I don't remember. My memory is on it. But I just remember...
like I caught it afterwards, maybe?
I just remember once you finally saw it, you almost uncharacteristically from what people might be used to hearing, you lost it on how shitty that movie was and how much you
really
hated
bad.
it. It was horrible. To the point that I'm probably the only one that remembers this. I don't even know if you remembered. Like,
Oh no, I
having
remember
rant.
this.
To the point, like I would look for moments like once a year where, sort of like Ian does, he baits all of us with Ninja Turtles comments. I would find some way to, like, if I could, pepper in a reference to The Circle just to see if it would set him off again. I'm probably the only one that remembers that. And then when we were doing, go ahead.
I remember hating that movie a lot, so I imagine I did freak out about it a little bit.
You blacked out. You don't remember what you said about the movie.
I remember being there for that live because, again, it was like a core memory because it was startling when Andy was actually pissed off about something. And it was just like, whoa, he's all right. This is a side of Andy I've never seen before. And this stupid fucking movie brought it out. All right, let's go.
Maybe it's that Andy's maybe more than the rest of us, is the type that he will gush over the things he loves and he'll give his, like, honest opinion about something, but he doesn't go out of his way to shit on things. It's like, if he didn't like it, like, okay, he might say, I didn't care for it or didn't meet expectations, but he's not unkind to it. It doesn't evoke sort of a visceral, feeling and response. And when that did, it was like, wow, this really hit a nerve for some reason.
It was a bad movie. I mean, it really was.
And the other one, actually in a similar way, was when we were reviewing the Eternals, and we were going over sort of like the character review of the cast, and the one that nobody liked that Barry Conan played Drago, something like that. I forget who it was. Brian, it might have been you that just simply said, like, well, yeah, it's because, like, Dragon kind of sucked a little bit. And again, it was like someone lit the fuse that the cherry bomb went off, and he just exclaims, yeah, you're right, that's exactly it, he does suck. It's just, for whatever reason, just elicited this like primal reflex reaction out of him that it was so fun to see. I could probably pick out a million more if I really thought about it, but for whatever reason,
We could circle back if any more come up to you.
Yeah, those are just a few that just came out.
Andy, you got any memories over the last 10 years? Anything that sticks out to you on the show?
I remember specifically doing an in-person podcast at Josh's house, actually, that was semi-hard to actually set up. That ended up being a lot of fun. And then another in-person one where Ian brought the statue at your house, Brian. that is a core memory because it was also very
All right, you
a
gotta
lot of
give
fun.
us some details. The listeners were not there for that, so set the stage for these two stories.
We had a lot of issues getting set up at Josh's house. For the mixer was wrong, or we kept putting it in the wrong ports, or someone was always not audibly listenable.
Yeah.
Like someone's mic kept not getting, and it took us a while to like troubleshoot it to the point where we were there for 4 hours for a 1 hour podcast or something. Does that sound about right?
It sounds about right for
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was the Captain Marvel review. We might have come back right after seeing it, actually.
We
I
did.
think you're right.
Yeah,
I think we all
okay.
went to
But-
see it, and then just like everyone came over. And if I'm not, because Sarah and Leslie were a part of that discussion, and they were on the episode,
Mhm.
and I'd have to go back and like actually check it. That might have been the last one both of them ever did. And if that's the case, the snafus and just the behind the scenes bullshit that it took to get it to work may have been the thing that broke it.
That's I think I remember more about the preparation and the issues we had getting going more than I actually remember talking on the podcast. And I remember petting your cat a lot because your cat just came up to me and I was like, oh, awesome, cat, pet, nice. Something to
tracks.
do while we're troubleshooting.
That reminds
And-
me of one of the other ones we did at my house, which I think we tried to do. I don't remember if we tried to do two that day.
Oh, I
Or
got
what?
that one. I got a
Yeah.
whole thing
Oh,
about
you-
that one.
Okay, all right. I'll come back to Mike. Mike knows which one it is.
I feel like I have a right to that, and we'll get to why when it comes time.
Yeah, yep. The ones that have never been
Um,
heard. That's
And then we did a podcast at your, I want to say it was your new house at that point.
we did. Yeah, either 100 or 150 on my new house when I moved in here. Shortly after that, on my kitchen table with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. But Ian brought a rather risque anime statue with him and promptly set it up, and it had parts that could be added that would make it one way or the other.
It looked like a girl, but we could play ring toss, and I believe there actually was
Yes.
rings that he. Yes. Yeah,
With the
okay.
work, yeah. I mean, that wasn't the purpose of them, but there were rings.
So if you
And I
remember
want to say
at this point an hour and a
I wanna
half
say
ago how I introed Ian, it all makes sense now.
And I want to say Sarah was there or Leslie
that
was there.
that
They were.
was the first
Both?
time Sarah met Ian.
Yep, that was a
Yeah.
good first
And-
impression.
and
Ian.
there was fear in her eyes. There was fear.
How many times have you
normal guy.
interacted with Sarah since then?
Couple, handful.
Okay, just curious. I'm just curious. Like it.
She made sure to make sure if I was RSVP into his birthday party. So you know, she
Okay.
went out of her way to say, "Hey, you coming?" And I said, "Hey, I have 3 more days." So RSVP.
Anything else from you? Anything else that you remember?
Those are some core memories
Okay.
of mine. I enjoyed them.
Mike, anything? We'll since I know you're itching to talk about this now that we kind of brought it up. So what sticks out to you over the last 10 years?
Okay, so yeah, we talked about a few of the things already, like what Josh brought up with the shirt and all that, and Ian bringing that statue is definitely a memory that won't go away.
For
And
all the wrong reasons.
yeah, I mean, it depends on your particular bent on the world, I guess. And well, for some people it's a left turn. For some people it's a straight and narrow. It's fine. It's on the topic of live or rather in-person podcasts gone wrong. Just before, was it before Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity War? Or was it before Endgame?
I think it was Infinity War.
Okay. So we were coming to Infinity War, and I put together a rather well, in my own opinion, put together Jeopardy game for everybody to play.
That was a good game show.
Took quite a while to put together. I also did like a secondary one that we did that wasn't just Infinity stuff. We had some other categories that we did just as a separate one that day as well. It was great. I loved putting it together. Spent hours doing it. It was amazing. And then half the fucking microphones didn't record the game, so we just got to play a game. And did you ever put any of that out? I feel like you talked about maybe putting some of it out, but
I thought I could salvage so what had happened? We had an audio mixer and we had probably 6 or so microphones plugged into the mixer. So I don't remember how many people were actually in the room. I think we had more than 6.
Yeah, because we were passing microphones.
Because I know people were sharing microphones. And at least 1 or 2 of the 6 microphones were on mute.
Yeah,
through the mixer.
It was 2. It was specifically Leslie and Romano's. I know that.
Yeah, they were on the corner.
Whoever they were passing with, it was also not getting them.
And because we're in an empty living room in my house, so you could hear them in other people's microphones that weren't muted, but it was faded far away and very distant. So they were there, but sound quality sucked. I thought in post I would be able to try to grab what I could hear, just pump up the volume, and you could try to hear the normal level. But when you pump up really terrible audio, it just sounds really loud and terrible. So we just had to scrap it. I couldn't salvage to a point where you could tell what they were saying. It was just sections of the recording were missing because of that snafu. So yeah, that was a big. I was not happy with myself.
There was nothing we could do because you're talking about hours put together to build the game itself, hours to play it, and it's not like we can replay a fucking trivia game.
Yeah,
like there was nothing we could do about it. So yeah, that's a bit of a memory I have, is losing that one. Because it's probably the most work I put into any podcast that we did.
Yeah.
And
we could just play the game again. I don't remember any of the questions.
I don't have any.
You said Infinity War. That was like 7 years ago. I mean,
you put together the game for the
shot.
150th. We played that.
What was that?
Jeopardy, and you also did the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Sarah was there for that too.
Was that in person?
Was that 150?
Yeah, I'm reading the description. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want me to put together games again, I'll put together
says
games again.
by Mike Bradley.
I love putting together games.
Wait, that was a description of 150? Maybe I did. Did I salvage that?
Mike's not. Romano's not listed on that. Neither is Leslie. But
okay.
So no, I think we did a Jeopardy style game more than once.
Yeah, we did a few of those.
Okay, so that might have been 2.0 or something.
I think in the future, I would absolutely put together like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style game, because I know Jeopardy does not play well to a listening audience, but Who Wants to Be a Millionaire does. That's as simple as like you have a next question to go. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you don't need to see the categories and all that shit. You can just know where you're at and talk about it. I could do that again sometime if you guys actually want to do it.
Or we could talk about anime figures that have penises.
Or that could be a category
Yeah.
of Jeopardy or...
Ian's going to run that category. He's going to be the guy that goes to that category and takes the $1,000 question first. Just skips right to the hardest one. Just see what I did there?
No pun intended.
All of it, Alex.
Yeah.
Give me all of it.
Anything else, Mike?
As far as just memories like that?
Memories, yeah. Anything stick out to you?
So there's a couple, and it's usually the times when we actually got together in person to do things. And one of the ones I remember pretty clearly, and I'm trying to remember if we even recorded for this. I think we did. And it would have been me and Josh and Andy? And maybe Brian?
You have to give us a little bit more here. I don't know.
This is when we did the Predator marathon and then went to see the new Predator movie at the time, whatever was that, The Predator or whatever it was that we
It
went to
was.
see
I don't think
in
that
the
was
theater.
me then because I did not see that.
Okay, so then I think that was myself, Josh, and Andy. Like, did you go to that, Andy?
What was it? Me? That doesn't ring a bell.
We did the marathon at my house. We started in like the late morning, watched Predator, Predator 2, and Predators,
Yes.
and then had like a 6 o'clock show or something for The Predator. Leslie came
Yeah,
because
Leslie
that
came.
is absolutely her wheelhouse.
And then
I'm assuming then to some degree she might have been part of the episode, but I know she was at least there, and obviously you were, and then me and Sarah.
yeah, I trying to remember specifics. I know we did it, and I know we did some sort of show for it. It may have just been me and Josh, but that was a fun
Perhaps.
day. That was a fun day just to sit down and be like, you know what? Here's this thing that we're kinda into. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The first Predator is probably my second favorite movie ever. So, sharing that with you guys, and I guess in that instance specifically, like Leslie's own fervor for the Predator series, was very exuberant that day, and just finding that common ground that you have with people that you didn't know existed until you find out, until you actually just sit down and talk to each other about something. And I feel like that's something we've done a lot of through the years here. And that one sticks out in my head as an instance of that occurring.
Nice. Ian, I think you're the last one we didn't get on, or get to. Memories from you over the last 10 years that you can think of stuck out to you.
So, obviously, a lot of them. There's about a 20-minute section in episode 100 of just some of my best moments. So you can just listen to that.
all
It's
the
really good.
clips from you.
Yeah, I
right?
think they're
Is that-
all like related. Other than that, it was one of these in-person ones. I don't know if it was the one with the anime figure, if it was the one that made it to air, but beforehand, so we were talking, and Mike was like, "Oh, it's the first time I'm meeting Ian," and I'm like, "No, it's not. We met at Replay FX before." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, we met at Replay FX. We came up, we talked about this and that." He's like, "No, I don't remember." And I'm like, making him feel bad because I'm like, "Oh, I guess I don't stand out that much." Never met the guy in my life before in person.
I remember that. You know what? In response, can I respond? Am I allowed to
I
respond?
guess. I don't. Yeah.
Because we're talking about Replay Effects specifically, and I remember having a conversation via text with Ian while myself and Brian and Andy all had met at Replay Effects, and we were just kind of hanging out. And I said to Ian, like, "Oh, you said you were going to come. You weren't here. Like, are you still coming?" And he said, "No. My friends didn't decide to go." And I remember very vividly in my head texting him back, like, "We're fucking here." And having to tell him, like, well, then he explained, like, he needed a ride and stuff. I'm like, you can ask us for that. And just being like, what? Like, it was almost like it was endearing and insulting at the same time. And I feel like that's a lot of what Ian's good at. Is like making you question things, but you like it. You're like, you know what? It's all right, though. And so that was just my response. He fucked with me. And then, in turn, I had to bring that up. That's all. Sorry, go ahead.
So one of the cold opens, Andy's Micro Machine one, where Brian edited it to make it go really fast. Really still enjoy that. He shared that clip with me yesterday. Still holds up. The unsped up version, not as good. Not as good, obviously. And then I guess I really like the board games in Jeopardy, but when we were doing Jeopardy and it was a Harry Potter thing and Josh just did 10 in a row or whatever, and I'm like, why am I even here? It's just it's all fucking Harry Potter. And he's just like, yeah, Dumbledore. And all Mike said was the guy. And I'm like, the fuck is this? How am I supposed to know that? So, just
You gotta know.
some of the
Gotta be in the know.
retention knowledge these guys have shown off over the years has been impressive. This, I guess, also wasn't on air. A lot of my stuff didn't actually make it to air, other than the clip show, episode 100, 20 minutes, buy the shirt. So
You bring
me and
shirts
Brian,
back.
me and Brian hadn't talked for a while, and then he invited me on the show, and that's kind of when we started talking and hanging out more. So that's always been kind of, I guess, a memory of that, like how this show kind of brought us back together. I know Mike's kind of referenced that's, obviously how he met basically all of us minus Josh. They met back in like 78 in high school.
70.
73. My bad.
We were corresponding by letter still when
Western
we
Union.
reconnected in like 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, it was called Seneca back then. It wasn't even Penn Hills. Josh and I get that. You guys don't. It's great. It's fun.
Honestly, in the same way, like Mike and I met right before I graduated. I was a year ahead of him, and we had common friends, but we like weren't in the same circles. And so like we absolutely in the last, again, like what, 9 years of,
yeah,
like as adults became better friends and got to know each other way better than we ever did then. Like we just reconnected through social media again a couple months before he started chiming in on the episode pages, because Brian would post them, I would share them out to get to spread the gospel. And yeah, that's so it's kind of a similar thing.
And imagine what would have happened if Mike would have just used the email address instead.
You forward me having a great show here today. But to what Josh was saying, that was just a Penn Hills thing. We ran in the same group of friends, but at Penn Hills High School, when you're there was 3,500 kids or so at the high school when I graduated, all told between the 3 grades.
Between the 3, yeah.
Yeah, well, like the 2 years behind me were massive. Like I want to say, like the year behind me was 1,300 kids or something like that. It was ridiculous. But at that school, that group of friends we were all a part of was probably 150, 200 kids that were just, the kids that did similar things, I guess you could say. But there were so many of us. It was like Josh and I knew each other existed. We knew who each other were, but that was about the extent of it for the most part. Until, like he said, like shortly before Josh graduated, we hung out a couple times. Randomly in groups, like with people.
Yeah, because there was that common factor.
Yeah. So and then it just, comes to here, and through finding Josh again, it was a matter of, like I said, finding like-minded people to talk about shit with, and you guys became, the closest group of friends I've got, and that's invaluable. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so my friends didn't go, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's true. And what he means by that is that, Jason and Matt didn't go, or
no, those
was
were
it
different
Jason?
people back then. No, they I didn't know them then.
Wait, seriously?
Well, yeah, remember I was 14 at the time, so I met them in college.
Last year in college.
We need to work out the timeline here, because wait, were you an adult when we were hanging out originally, or
The first
Was
time
I
I was at
endangering a
Brian's house,
minor?
there was alcohol, and I was a minor. I remember that. Anyways, moving on from felonies. Also, it's probably been didn't make the show, but 7-8 times over the years where Brian couldn't get an episode started, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna do it," and then he would finally get it going because he refused to let me open the episode. And I think it took.
I feel like there's one or two that I left.
There was
in
one
maybe
where
at
you
least
just
cold
made me the
opens.
host, and that's. I don't know if it was just the Marvio Triple one or a different one, but you finally were like, I gotta let him do it. And then one of my favorite cold opens, Brian again played it for me last night. I talked about it earlier on here, again, not in the show, but the happiest I've ever been. It's me and Mike Romano had the same headset, and I was having issues with mine. I think you could tap it to mute it, or you move the headset up, and I was having issues with mine. And Romano's like, I got nothing. And he couldn't hear him anymore. He fucked his up by doing that. And I howled for 30 seconds. It was such a good laugh. Josh made it his ringtone for a while.
That's right. That's where that came from. Yeah.
Pure, unbridled joy of a 14-year-old boy. Just
That
balled
was
it up
in
for your
the-
ear holes.
Like, the context of how that happened, I thought was hilarious. And then when I think we did the 50th, I isolated just 30 seconds of Ian's laugh. And it was the most
It's
joyous I've ever
maniacal.
heard him, and I've ever heard him since. That is, like, to the point where, one, it's equal parts joyful and equal parts scary as shit because it could double as a Joker audition laugh.
Yes, yes.
But like he gets about 20 seconds of laughing continuously, and then he has to take a break and take a breath before he passes out, and then continues to laugh after that. And it is still the funniest fucking thing I've heard.
I couldn't
in
see.
the 10 years of doing this thing.
My eyes were full of water. I couldn't see. I needed like a minute. It was uncomfortable.
And for listeners of the show that don't have access to episode 50, just for you guys, I will put that intro, that cold open in here right now, so you can hear it. You'll hear it right now.
Is your headset microphone not working?
Yeah, it wasn't working last week either.
Huh.
Yeah, see, I even have it down this week and it still doesn't work.
It's there just for show.
Well, that's what the first thing Mike was like when I said my shit wasn't working. He's like, well, you don't have it fucking down. I'm like, I know, we tried that. It's not the issue.
You guys are using the same headset, huh?
No,
Oh,
mine
yeah.
doesn't do that.
Oh, it doesn't work.
Mike, I think you just broke yours.
Oh, man. It's not working.
Oh shit!
It's still not working.
No, you're good. You're good.
Did it seriously cut out? My audio cut out.
Stop.
Yeah, just
There's
out. Yeah,
nothing there.
Does it sound alright now?
it sounds good now. Yeah.
Okay, let's not touch it anymore.
It's a quality piece of material right there.
Yeah, apparently.
So, Ian, you got any more? Because I got a couple just to hit. And then one of the questions I was going to ask was favorite cold opens, which I think are part of the memories for everybody too. But if you think of any other cold opens that stick out to you, let me know, because I will loop back to those for us.
Oh, you're good
There's so
to
many
go.
that I was a part of that I just don't listen to the episode, so I don't know what you actually used. I just
No,
know things
yeah.
we said like, "Oh, that'll be a cold open," and whether you used it or not,
I'm sure there's many that I've loved. I just don't recall when they happened. Who said what?
Memories for me over the past, 10 years. I have done way too many of these to remember what the hell some of them were, but trying to just look back at like even episode titles. Again, like I probably mentioned, the list episodes are still some of my favorites. The infamous 4-hour 250th that we did on Twitch was still, it's a tough episode to get through, but it will be one everybody remembers. And that was shortly after, Andy, I think you weren't on that episode, right? Because you had just gotten married.
Actually, I was at the Poconos and I logged on
To
'Cause
tell
you were
us.
chatting with us.
to chat,
Yeah.
chat with you guys to tell you
Yeah.
guys that, hey, I'm
Yeah,
at a place
that
to getting married.
That was another
one of the
memory,
best
too.
moments.
which is why I am not there.
yeah. Andy couldn't make it. He didn't tell us why. And then I think like earlier that morning, you had said what you were doing, and then you wanted to call in and tell us. And I told everybody else, hey, we got a live broadcast tonight. We need to get on early this afternoon and test something. I want to make sure the audio's working so we can test. And that one was when I brought Andy in, and then he told us all, hey, by the way, I'm not there because I got married, which was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
No. Had I gotten married yet?
I'm pretty sure you did, because that was
Yeah, I think we just got back from me actually doing it.
yeah. And then whenever we went live that night, he was in the chat talking to us as he was, and I think we read your list there. You were in chat as we read your list as part of the whole
Yeah,
thing.
because I think I provided the list. But
Correct. Yeah.
I wasn't part of the thing.
So that stuck out to me. That was fun. Some of Ian's stupid bits over the year, like he just hammers them home where you just can't forget them. The white spider liquid, googly eyes, HUD consent laws, all his random ass podcasts that he was a part of over the years. That I think I even found a clip where Josh had admitted for a while there he was believing most of the podcasts that Ian was saying until they got a little bit too ridiculous and they realized, oh no, he's making these up. These are all bullshit.
It took like 10 to 15 episodes because I did not meet. I met Ian prior to the first time that Sarah did with the Ladycock statue, but I was hearing him on the show for at least a year before we met in person. I did not know who this person was, and as we've said, so just the conviction and the confidence, and at times I'm sure just the rattling shit off the top of his head. It's just said with such earnestness and confidence. I had no reason to disbelieve it. But after like 10 of those, I'm like, wait, there's no way he's this prolific.
So
I've said it for years. Ian is the best bullshitter I know. Like, he can sell you anything. It's just, he says it with such a straight face. And even when you try to call it out on him, he just sticks with it to the point where,
commits
like,
to it, yeah.
Really? And then no, I'm just making that up. And you're like, motherfucker, come on.
So I will give you a reason to believe in what Ian has to say. Okay? And give you doubt as to your own assuredness that he is full of shit all the time on so many of the things he's making up and all that. Look up, there's a little known, he's not well known in any way, but his name is Ryan Haley. Look this man up. Just look up Best of Ryan Haley. And he has some of the most outlandish stories that you will ever fucking hear. The difference between him and Ian is he recorded all of them on video for proof. So when he says this, and this happened, the video's on the internet. Go find it. You can. And because he's a filmmaker, very amateur, very, you know what I mean? But he has documented these things through the years of himself and the crazy shit he has done. Just look him up. It may give you reason to say, you know what? Maybe Ian isn't just making all of it up.
I mean, that
he
store
always-
appeared. That's all I'm going to say. We all saw that
He
store.
puts a little bit of truth in there, too. Like, I think even when he's plugging fake podcasts, at one point he had a YouTube channel where he was actually plugging that on top of all the fake stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always a little bit of truth in there. So it's hard to differentiate when he's actually bullshitting and when he's telling you something that exists.
I do have one other favorite thing that I can't go. We mentioned it for a moment. Just the Godzilla and Kong feud that is still ongoing. I'm not giving that up. I just wanted to point that out there. That was some of the most fun I had arguing about something.
Yeah.
Nonsensically, but arguing about it anyways. It was so much fun.
Some of the other ones for me that I think I enjoyed usually trying to put together for a while when we were doing some of the movie reviews. I think we probably did it for some of the Marvel ones, definitely for some of the Star Wars. I had a little portable microphone that I used to be able to plug into my iPhone, but newer iPhones don't have a headphone jack anymore, so you can't do that unless without adapters and whatnot. So I haven't done it for years, but I used to take that with me. I would talk to whoever I'm seeing the movie with friend-wise before, and we'd talk about what do you think is going to happen? What are your predictions? And then immediately once we get out of the theater on the drive home, we turn the microphone on and record again and get almost like immediate thoughts from people after seeing a movie. Usually a big movie, blockbuster we've been anticipating for that year. Those I think were fun just to see the before and after for some of those, the way those worked. And the other one that I was glad that I took the equipment to try to do it was when Leslie, Paula, and I went to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. And we basically did like almost a diary of every day we were there and summed up what we saw, what we liked, what we didn't, and recorded every day. And then I just compiled that into one episode, which I thought was really fun. We ended up meeting another guy from England in line for one of the panels and made friends. He actually also had a podcast, so shout out Colin for some of the stuff that he has done. That was just really cool. We're still, Facebook, Instagram friends and stuff like that, so that was just fun.
And if you're wondering, yes, that was actually me.
Oh, bullshit.
And I mean, speaking of that, you're talking about Celebration. I don't think we did anything for the podcast about it. We may record it.
You and
afterwards.
I never did. Yeah.
Like we may.
We might have recorded like what our trip was, but we didn't do anything live when we were down there.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't. We should have, because there was what was it? 18 hours we spent in line to see the Last Jedi trailer.
Oh, the overnight.
Yeah, we ended up
did it
sleeping
overnight.
on a fucking concrete floor. Because the people running the convention had the dumbest idea of how to handle things ever. But middle of the night, Brian got up to meet Ryan Johnson.
Oh yeah,
I did not.
Still have a picture of that.
I was just too fucking worn out. But like on that trip, you know what I mean? And I say, like, for me, it's part of the podcast because that trip doesn't happen if not for the podcast. If not for joining you guys, I don't take that trip. Brian might still take that trip, but I definitely don't.
Brian,
Not
so-
alone.
what was it
Not
like
alone.
meeting the man who ruined Star Wars?
To be fair, that same
See-
trip, we got to meet Mark Hamill together. So we got to meet the man who made
Yeah.
Star Wars as well. So, kind of.
See, I don't
you know.
I don't view it that way, and you know that. So I love that picture. I have it up on my mantle over here. It is such a great memory of just like it sucked like kind of at the time because like Mike said, you've been on the convention floor all day. You are exhausted. We want to get into this panel. We have to stand in line. They let you do it overnight, so you're just sleeping in line to try to get in there the next morning to get a decent seat. We didn't even. The lines were so long, we didn't even get into the main theater.
We were like
get into an auxiliary
a few
room.
people behind, too. It was like
Yes.
less than a dozen people that we were short of getting into the main room.
Yeah. So you're like, you know what you're sort of getting into, and we tried to make the most of it, try to keep ourselves occupied, try to take naps overnight when we could. And then middle of the night, Ryan Johnson rolls in with a very small entourage and just stood out on like one of the sides of this big hall wherever they had these lines for anybody that wanted to come up and get an autograph and a picture. And in the middle of the morning, when you're exhausted, that was just such a fun thing to kind of at least for me, reinvigorate me, to kind of wake me up. And I got excited, and I have still my badge signed from him. I have that picture hanging up. Like that was really cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, just being in that environment for that trailer with all those fans, like Celebration is such a great fucking venue to go to. If you are a Star Wars fan, get there because it's awesome.
And, you know, and it goes to say something, at least for something, that I have two pictures of myself in my house. One is Amy and I on our honeymoon, and the other one is myself and Brian meeting Alan Tudyk together.
Oh, I got that one too. Yes, it's
And-
hanging in my room. Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I've got is pictures of me on anywhere in this house. So, you know, it was a fun time. It was a grueling time because of that waiting in line shit. But
Well, that screwed us up the whole rest of the weekend because like your sleep schedule's just fucked. But
yeah, when
yeah,
you
it was
felt
good.
like dragging ass the whole fucking time, it was not good. I'm glad they changed all that, so people don't have to do that anymore. I'm just sad that I
Yeah, I
was
don't remember
part of
doing
one
that
of the
when-
last groups that did it.
Yeah, when we went to Chicago, they didn't have anything like that. We didn't have to stay overnight for stuff like that, so that worked better.
Yeah.
I know we've sort of been talking about them. Cold opens for anybody. I'll just go through my list because I know I have a couple, and then I'll kind of go through any ones we didn't talk about already. Obviously, the one Ian mentioned is the one that immediately comes to mind is when he just loses his shit when Mike's Mike cuts out. The Micro Machines one I had forgot about until Ian actually mentioned that to me the other day, and I went back and listened to the regular recording. Andy, I don't know if you remember this, but this was your
No.
you start the start of the clip is just you saying, "Hey, it would be fun if we did a whole episode talking like the Micro Machine guy." And I don't know if you were hopped up on coffee that day, but you are very excited about all the ideas you are suddenly throwing out to like what we should do. And it ends with like trying to get people to reverse the flow of the podcast to listen to it backwards so we can put a secret message in there with a decoder ring so they can fill out all these episodes and figure out what we're trying to say. And
Andy just casually
As we're-
adding 1,000 hours of work to recording the podcast.
oh, it was I suggested he should do it. Then he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And but because of the Micro Machine thing, we start off the conversation of, I wonder if I can speed this up. Like, does Audacity have the ability to do that? So I found in editing that there is a speed up and speed down thing. So I took that same 3 or 4 minute clip of Andy trying to present all these ideas where he's really excited and gradually start to speed it up every couple seconds so that we sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks by the end of it, where we're just really high pitched. It's going really fast. And it's still one of the funniest things I think I've ever edited put out for this podcast, which I will also try to link in this episode. So I'll try to put that clip in here for people who don't know it.
You know what would be fun, guys? You know what would be fun? I think we should do a whole podcast trying to talk like the Micro Machine guy. Yeah.
How does the Micro Machine guy talk?
Yeah,
the real fast, like, legalese talker guys.
Yeah, like the auctioneer fuckers.
Yeah, I can't talk regular speed, let alone trying to speed it up and talk fast. I stumble over words as it is.
Well, maybe you should just use your editing magic to speed up so we all sound like Alvin and the fucking Chickmunks and stuff.
I wonder if I can do that. I've never actually tried to speed us up.
We got an opening now.
Now I'm like, ooh, what do the effects do? Oh, no, there is a change speed effect.
Booyah!
I might have to play with that when I'm editing just to see what it sounds like.
We can call it the BryGuy and Super Friends Helium and Speed Round.
BryGuy and Super Friends at Super Speed.
Yeah, there we go.
What I should do is maybe for the intro or for the cold open now, I'll just have you talk about speeding us up, how I find the speed, and then everything we talk about after that will be sped up until we get to the theme song. Yeah, so right now that's all you're hearing when you're listening.
It's gotta be good.
I mean, I don't know if that's gonna work, but it's a
Yeah,
decent idea.
yeah. I guess it's an idea.
No, it's totally an idea. If I don't use it, if it works, and I find something better to use for the cold open, that's definitely going for the 100.
Booyah. The whole 100th, that's the whole episode.
We're just gonna speed up the entire 100th episode, so no one will understand what the hell we're talking about. We'll take time to record it for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but we'll just play it double
We
speed.
should call it the secret episode because it'd be like one of those things where you have to like take a record and play it backwards to get the secret message. You'd have to like download parts of, you'd have to download it and edit it yourself so you can slow down the speed and actually hear what we're saying. Yeah.
I can't get people to download these episodes for free, let alone download additional software to speed up and play it backwards.
We should have a secret message minute at the end of every podcast where you speed everything up so people have to like, do effort to like hear what we're saying.
I like where your head's at. A little bit more fan interaction.
Yeah.
But we can't get people to listen to this show, period. Or even like take the time to comment on the Facebook
or,
page for
or you
a
know
show.
what? We can send everybody a decrypto ring. Yeah.
Just buy a bunch of Cracker Jack boxes and
Yeah. And then we can like give them secret messages like A4, D12, and then they have to decrypt it and we can tell them to like drink their Ovaltine or some kind of shit. Yeah.
I will let you head up that plan. You can find a way to implement that.
Finally, you give me some fucking power in this fucking podcast.
You have some homework. You get like 20 decoder rings, because there's probably we'll be lucky if we get 20 people that want to do this. Yeah. And then find a message that's worth decoding.
Yeah. And then they have to send me money or is it $20?
You start making bank off this. I want at least a little bit.
Oh, no, this is my idea.
I'm giving you the platform.
Okay, I'll give you 15%.
Done.
Oh, nice. You heard that, folks. The deal hasn't struck.
I really expect like $1.50 out of all this when it's said and done.
Digital handshake right there, buddy.
Another one that I forgot about until I found the clip. There was a clip of us trying to figure out, I think almost like a catchphrase for Josh for his Mr. Movie Slut. And we settled on "You got jizzed" because it's Jay-Z. And that was what stuck.
Well, yeah, because it sticks.
Is that what stuck?
Yep, that's exactly how it ended. It was sticky by the end of it. So I will find that clip and I will put that in here as well.
Golden.
Come up with an online handle,
I mean, you sticking with Mr. Movie Slut or you want something different?
Like I don't know. I nothing. I haven't really given it any thought, to be honest.
Open up your inbox. Let the internet give you some nicknames.
Yeah, you got to come up with like a gamer tag. I can't do anything with like Josh or Zorich.
Like there's nothing in like real life or like oh he burned you good. Like you can't we can't work that somehow. Like you got
Josh.
Yeah,
You got Joshua.
You got jizzed. Jay-Z. You got jizzed.
I'll take it.
Well, I mean,
You want that to stick? Really? Like that's the one you're gonna choose?
my immediate
It does
idea goes
stick.
to jizz, and he's just like, yeah, why not?
It does.
Now, if play the tape back on that within 5 seconds, I believe Mike said you got jizzed. I said I'll take it, and Brian said that's the one you want to stick.
Yeah.
And he had just pointed out why that made sense. So I don't know if anybody else remembers any other ones, but those are the three that, even just digging through some of the old clips, that I immediately found and got a laugh out of. So those were the ones that I remember. But I'm sure there are others. Like I could probably try to do an episode just of like, hey, these are some of my favorite cold opens that we've done over the 300 some episodes that we've done. But that would just take the time of trying to go back through, probably listening to every opening of every episode to see which ones are good, or which ones I feel like are better than some of the other ones. I'm not saying they're all bad. I think most of them are good, but it's just like that extra level of, hey, these actually made me laugh again listening to them. So
Yeah, if you hear my voice in it, you know it's a good one.
I'd say that sounds like YouTube Shorts and TikTok all day long.
He keeps trying to give you more work this whole episode.
I keep trying to get more people to listen to the damn podcast.
Expand the brand. I don't. Now that you're saying that, Brian, I would say, I guess I can amend one of the earlier questions about like favorite moments or just the other things and loop that into a quote open thing. When you and I did the trading of back and forth on never seen that's of Fast and Furious films and getting you to watch some horror movies. One, that exercise overall, I legitimately really enjoyed. The discussions that came out of the Fast and Furious stuff afterward, I still remember calling that stupid kid from the first movie Mousy and not liking him and not giving a shit what happened to him. So at least the after discussion part of seeing, like, as the movies got progressively more ridiculous, the talk afterward, was more than worth, the hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours to sit and watch the movie. But also kind of getting you out of your comfort zone those couple of times, to legitimately have, discussions about horror movies, that you could discuss as a film viewer, as a movie goer, as opposed to, all right, Brian, well, we really, made you uncomfortable. Wasn't that great? Like, we never did that. And that wasn't the point. So I had a lot of fun with that. So as it concerns cold opens, one of them that we did, I forget, it might have been for Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
I kind of asked, but I said, like, all right, I got a bunch of sound effects that I found, and you let me write a script, build a whole intro scene where we made up this fake thing about you hearing noises in your basement and then just hearing a blood-curdling scream and then a door slams. And then it just cuts. Like, it just literally, like a cold open, just cuts and goes into, like, spooky sounds for a while. So, on the one hand, like, being afforded the ability and the opportunity to just, like, do something creative, for a little bit. Not that I can't do that anytime I want to. I just choose not to and don't really feel like I have a reason to do it. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not for something, right? That was fun. And you were a good sport about it, and it went really well. And I had a good time both making that intro as well as, like I said, just the whole exercise of the never seen that's trading back and forth.
Yeah, that was basically our acting audition, I think, going off of the script for that cold open. I think it turned out pretty good, all things
nailed
considered.
It.
Yeah,
I do too. I think we basically got it all in one take.
it was 2 or 3 takes, I think. Yeah, but I think we might have used little bits and pieces of each one, whichever take was a little bit better for the reading. But yeah, I think it didn't take long to get what we had.
Yeah.
And kudos to you for going easy on me for the horror movies that I had to watch. I think they were not. Where my boundaries are and what I would probably say no to. So at least you picked some that I at least enjoyed, which I will appreciate and say thank you.
You're welcome. And we got you to go see Zombieland 2 with us in the theater when it came out, because I think that was the first one we did.
I forgot Zombieland was one of them. I remembered A Quiet Place and I remembered Cabin in the Woods. I forgot we did Zombieland too. Yeah.
I think Zombieland was first.
Yep. Last call from cold opens for everybody that you may or may not remember.
I don't know if it was a.
Go ahead.
I don't know if it was a cold open, but the time when you did your and you're about ready to launch into it, and I did it instead of you.
I remember that he was like half a breath away from starting words, and you just cut him off.
He always did it the same way, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna beat him to it.
I do have a routine.
Felt like I actually did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I do have a routine. That's my tell. Is when I'm ready to go for the opening of the show, as I take a big breath to start to spew out what I'm going to spew out. And yeah, Ian's tried to jump me a couple times on that too. I think he's trying to get ahead of me on that too, which has succeeded.
I think Andy started the trend there, and
for sure,
it just kind of snowballed.
Mike, you're going to say one?
I was going to say, there is one that came to mind, because I don't remember a lot of them. So I'm just going to bring up the one that came to mind because it made me laugh. This was, I have no idea what episode, but Andy, I don't remember what it was attached to. You know what I mean? Like I remember it happening, but Andy had gotten like a new microphone. Or a new desk or something. I think it was a new desk that Andy had got, and now he had hands free, and it just kind of snowballed into Andy making jokes about jerking off with his free hands. And like being like, oh, free hands. And the next thing, like, I want to say in the cold open, you hear like him just tapping the desk as a joke.
I think I do remember that. Yeah,
And it just got me. I don't remember a lot of them, but I do remember that one.
Last call. Otherwise, I think we'll probably wrap it up. We've been talking, I think, more than I thought we would for this, but nothing else. All right. So I think we've covered, 10 years as best as we can, at least for our fading memories, for being at some of the ages that we are for this.
Whoa! I'm on young crew still. Calm down.
Yeah, well, give it a couple more days. You'll join us shortly.
Cross the bridge.
Yeah. So that brings us to 10 years going on. Still hanging on for this. Pretty much. I guess I don't know. Every episode we do, I kind of constantly try to remind everybody that consistency has not been great with the show recently, which is again fully on me. So over the last 2 years, just personally been struggling trying to find a good routine between work-life balance and time to do this and edit and all that stuff. So it's become a little bit more difficult to put out the show as often as I would like to. But I still don't feel ready to give it up. So we'll still be trying to do this as often as I can try to make it happen. I think I mentioned earlier, we still owe you some list episodes. We didn't do the favorites of 2024. There's been a list episode probably at this point close to at least 6 months. I don't know if I'd go as far as a year in the making. I made all these guys give me a list of movies that we ranked based on placement, and I have a definitive list for all of that has been calculated, which we never recorded.
Did I do that?
Do you want to be even sadder about that? Because
that was
it's
Josh's
not 6
60th
months.
birthday.
It is not 6 months. That's been in the works.
Okay,
It's much
Yeah, I knew
longer
it's been
than that.
Okay, then closer to a year. Probably closer to a year. Yeah.
How old are you, Josh, now? It was that birthday party.
Might be closer to 2.
Has it been that
I
long?
retire
Holy
in
shit.
2
Okay.
months.
So yeah, there's definitely some stuff I know we need to cover. We need to circle back to. There's apparently a Speed Racer episode somewhere in the depths that I need to probably try to put out at some point. So yeah, I mean, consistency still might not be great. There's probably not going to be a routine to get these consistent, but we will still put them out as often as we can. On the flip side for me, it is still completely crazy that we have been going on for 10 years and over 300 episodes for this fucking show. These are numbers I never thought I'd hit whenever started this thing, 10 years ago. I got to thank anybody that's been a part of this show for helping extend it this long. Obviously all of these guys, again, are very big contributors. I want to thank you guys again for doing that. There are laundry list of people that have guested or helped with the show. I could try to go down that list, but I'm too afraid to miss somebody. So I really can't get there. But for anyone that has been a part of the show or been on the show, if you're still listening, again, I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me your time and attention for at least, being on here for a little bit. Hope you guys had fun. And I don't know, that's all I got for now. I think we've done 10 years. We'll see if we go another 10. It's probably going to be a struggle, but we'll see if we get there. I can't imagine what this show will look like in 10 years, what the hell will be like in 10 years, but it's a milestone worth shooting for. Last call from you guys. Otherwise, I'm going to do the regular rigmarole and wrap this thing up. Anything else?
When I recently re-listened to episode 1 that Brian re-uploaded, that first 8 minutes of table setting / rambling that Ian alluded to at the beginning, I'm kind of treating this as a roast of us of ourselves for a moment, because a lot of that he just admits flat out that, well, we're kind of doing this as a pilot. I don't know. It might be crap. You might not even hear this because we might decide it doesn't work. But kind of worried that he's setting himself up for failure before we've even begun. But what came out of that one, he felt was good enough to use as number 1. And we just kind of went on from there. So from the very first incarnation of this show, there was doubt, and maybe some unassurance, but like you said, 10 years on, one way or another, we've figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think we're still working it out. Like, even 10 years, I don't know if I have a specific thing that I can point to and say, yes, this is the show. Like, I think I've tried to venture out and just try different things, kind of see what sticks, and that's been going on for 10 years, and, still might try to do that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's been fun to experiment. Some stuff I don't think worked. Some stuff does work. Obviously, some of the stuff I think that did work, we just kind of fell off of, too. Like, the Rumble Dumble thing I've completely forgot about, and I think that is fun, something we got to get back to or try to incorporate a little bit more often. But, yeah, there's just over that much content and over 300 episodes, it's hard to remember I honestly can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone 10 years ago. So,
I mean, I would just say, Brian, thank you for what you do, for, putting it together, putting all the work in that you do. You put in more work than any of us here probably combined, except for Ian and his script that he reads from. But, for everything you do, to bring us together. Thank you for bringing us together, putting up with my shit. Thank you. Actually, thank all of you for putting up with my shit through the years. And yeah, well, we all, owe you a good bit for putting all this together and bringing us together consistently to do all of this. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been, I've had some rotating guests. Some of them, a lot of it comes down to scheduling. Like, a lot of people that I was trying to rotate in and out, like, it's just getting harder and harder to get people to get the time in to try to figure out when schedules align to try to do it, and then it's just taking too long. And almost for the steady stream of content I was trying to do, then it was like trying to get people that I knew were consistent to get out, and that's where we kind of settled on all of us. Is like, you guys happen to be the most free at the time to want to do this.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're
nothing
free,
else going on in your
we're
lives.
Available.
So,
it's not that
Not
we're
friends.
awesome or great or
Not
that
friends.
we did a good job. Friends, yeah, it's he could schedule us.
Yep. Thank you for doing nothing with your lives and being available for this. So.
And you're welcome.
But yeah, again, seriously, thank you guys for taking the time, for making room in your schedule for this. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Like I said, I'll continue to do this as much as we can, as much as I can, and go from there. And that's about it. I think good place to wrap up. We've talked way longer, I think, than I thought. This will probably be over 2 hours for this episode.
Never
so
done that.
Hopefully, yeah.
You should put a compilation together of recordings of you saying that.
Yeah, and I didn't run the timer this time because I was like, we'll be fine. We won't go that long. It's just we're just shooting the shit on memories. It won't be too bad. Shame on me.
We're old men shooting the shit on memories. How could you not think it would?
Yeah.
Well, wait, hold on. I'm still Team Young. That's
The
all right. So if you've enjoyed
this moment is not though, Mike.
wow.
All right, if you've enjoyed the show, please support us. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Give us a share on social media. You can follow or subscribe to the show. We are on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, Amazon. I guess Anchor doesn't exist anymore. I think that was absorbed by Spotify, so it's all Spotify now. Amazon. We are on YouTube as a audio podcast link. You can find us on Facebook. Search BryGuy His Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/BryGuy Super Friends. You can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions there. You can hit us up on Twitter at BG Super Friends. I haven't logged into that in a while, so I'm probably missing messages there, along with the email address I don't check, bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. That still exists. I have not checked that in probably 5 years, so that's probably where the AI stuff is all coming from. Feel free to follow me on Twitch, Jedi BryGuy. Whenever we decide to do another live show, we will do it there. If I ever get back to Bioshock or Indiana Jones, it will be there. And that's it for us. On behalf of Andy, Josh, Ian, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.